My name is Marty Jed. I'm one of the partners of JED Lawyers. Glenn Jed is, I think, on the phone. He's our CEO and one of our founding partners as well. And it's a pleasure to work with the Florida Association of Counties. Our firm is based in Boca Raton. We have a headquarters there. We have about 100 people on our staff, and we have offices throughout the state of Florida. Additionally, on the call, I have Dawn Watts, our PIP administrator and legal operations manager, as well as Nick Gadiant, our marketing manager. I also have Nefreda Thomas on the call as well, and she's one of our client service representatives. So this is part of our team. And again, it's a pleasure and an honor to speak to you folks. And we appreciate your patience during some of these technical difficulties that we just experienced. I'm going to share my screen now, and I'm going to go through a presentation, a brief presentation. But I would request, if there's any questions, whether during the presentation or after, if we use the chat function, it kind of keeps it more organized. And that'll allow Nick, he's going to moderate the questions if he can unmute himself, and we'll answer questions in at the end or during the presentation. So the objective of this meeting is to help the counties, and especially during this pandemic when money is extremely tight and everyone's budgets are being cut, to find a source where they can uncover a new income stream, which is right in front of them, and it's right within their EMS and fire companies. So we've developed a debt recovery system, which will allow fire, rescue, and ambulance transports to get paid properly. Okay, is my screen still sharing? I just had
Yes, we can still see it.
Sure. So based on some of the research that we've done within the, in a lot of different resources, we found that many counties throughout the state write off their EMS bills. And just on some basic counties that you can see here on the screen, based on Escambia County, North Lauderdale, Brevard, these are obviously cities within the counties, Palm Beach, Orange, and Collier. We've done research and found out these different counties have written over $42 million off in EMS or PIP bills that should have rightly been collected. And again, how it works in Florida is anyone that has a vehicle on the road is required to carry two things to get that vehicle on the road. The first is PIP insurance, which pays for their medical benefits, and that's a $10,000 benefit. And then there's property damage. So anytime anyone is involved in a car accident and your fire, rescue, or your EMS rolls out of that garage, there's a potential that you're generating a bill, and that bill most likely is not being paid properly. We know that because we work with some of the counties and some of the cities currently, and we know there's a tremendous amount of write-offs. And we have a solution that I think will help, or we're pretty confident will help all the counties, and especially during this pandemic, collect overdue and underpaid medical bills. Working with a lot of the different cities and municipalities, we understand that the counties hire other billing companies, whether it's Intermedics or Zool. There's other providers that actually do the billing for these counties or these cities. Some smaller cities may do their own billing, and that's fine. But a lot of these larger companies, the Intermedics and the different companies, do a great job in getting the bill out. However, what happens is they're unable to collect the overdue or underpaid benefits. And one of the reasons which makes us extremely different from everyone else is we're able to comply with the Florida statutes, and we're able to, once that bill is generated, to actually do a demand letter, which is a condition precedent under the Florida statute, and actually get the money paid back to the counties or the city. And just kind of simply stated, the way it works is most of the times a hospital or the ambulance or the fire truck rolls out and goes to the accident scene. And we would hope that at that point, the counties or the cities obtain what's called an assignment of benefit. And I would like to open that up for discussion later on to see if these counties are obtaining this assignment of benefits. And then a bill is generated, and that bill is generated to a PIP carrier, which would be State Farm, Geico, one of the different medical providers or one of the different auto providers. And that bill generally is paid, and it's generally underpaid. And there's many reasons why that bill may be underpaid. One of the major reasons is this area of law is constantly changing. For example, the Supreme Court rules many times during the year, and during the years, they come out with decisions which affect how that bill should be paid and how it must be paid. Most billing companies don't have that ability to put what we call a legal lens on the bill and understand how it should be paid. Most of the times, when an EMS or a county receives a bill, receives a check, they receive a check and an explanation of benefits, they book it on their system, and then that's where it dies. We've identified a unique process which allows us to go back 5 years within your file cabinets and do a look back audit to find those bills that have been underpaid, delayed, or denied. And JED Lawyers, we've created our own proprietary software which allows us to apply that legal lens that I mentioned to you to understand that bill and to determine if that bill was paid properly. And that's really the secret to what we do. We're able to identify the application of Florida law to the payment of that PIP payment, which is extremely important. Florida has a fee schedule, which most of the time the insurance companies make mistakes and underpay the bill. So that's where we come in. Our little firm in Boca Raton, we've been in business since 1994. We've been around for a while. JED Lawyers, since we've been collecting our data, which is 2008, we've collected over $50 million of overdue, denied medical benefits. As I said, we've been in business longer than that, but since we've been tracking the data, that's money that's been left on the table that an insurance company should have rightfully paid properly when the bill was submitted. However, they didn't. And through our process, which I'm going to explain a little bit to you here, we were able to recover over $54 million. Kind of the simple process here. The screen on the top right is a picture of our actual claims portal. Our system, since we've developed our own proprietary software, is completely transparent. We want our clients to be able to look under the hood to see what's going on. And we've created a very streamlined end-to-end process, which is driven mainly on technology, which allows us to be HIPAA compliant, which is extremely important. And once we connect with your staff or your billing company, we can basically take those claims and audit those claims from the beginning through and inclusion through the litigation process if necessary. So the initial step is to connect with the billing company or the county's billing office, their revenue cycle office, and we establish a HIPAA a private or secure HIPAA compliant connection using a business associates agreement. Once we get in, we identify and collect all the information and documentation which is necessary to process those claims and audit those claims. Our auditors then audit the claims and prepare demand letters which are necessary to send to the insurance company to make sure your case is paid properly. And as I mentioned before, once a bill is generated, the way the statute works is the billing company or the county submits the bill, and then the county has, or excuse me, the insurance company has 30 days to pay the bill thereafter, which they will send a check and an EOB to the county. Once that EOB and check is received, that's when we begin our auditing process and we apply our legal lens to really determine how that bill is paid and if it's paid properly. And we take that claim through the end of our process to make sure you recover the money that's due to you. And then through our technology, you're also able to review that claim and to see exactly what status that case is in and how much of the benefits have been paid on that case. Something very unique and again, very transparent. One of our initial steps is when we're engaged by a county or a city is we do a 5-year look back, and we call this a zero balance review. And the reason we start with this is the Florida statute allows for a 5-year look back because it's a breach of contract claim. So the statute of limitations for contracts in Florida is 5 years. So your cabinets and your debt files generally have a good amount of money in those cases which you consider a zero balance or a write-off. So we establish a HIPAA compliant remote access, and especially now, even more so with the pandemic. Prior to the pandemic, we were remote with the majority of our clients. Now, most of our clients, because they're closed or they don't want you coming into their office, require a remote connection. So we're able to access your system again, completely HIPAA compliant, using the business associates agreement, which keeps us HIPAA compliant. The next step is we begin our audit process, and we look at all the motor vehicle cases that the ambulance or the fire department went out to, or the ambulance or fire department billed to the insurance company. So we identify those using certain E-codes or different identifiers within your billing software to pull all the motor vehicle accidents. Once we identify those claims, we begin indexing those claims using our proprietary software, which allows us to read that medical bill, read that HCFA or CMS 1500 or EOB, whatever document we're able to obtain, and apply what we call our legal lens. And just for example, by way of introduction, recently, Liberty Mutual in Broward County, there was an order by a judge in Broward which allowed a PIP policy to actually pay more than the original amount. All PIP policies provide for $10,000. And because of the language in the Liberty Mutual policy, the way it was written, the courts have ruled because that policy was ambiguous, they now have to pay $12,500. So those are the types of issues that the counties and the billing companies generally have a hard time staying abreast of, because they're billing major med, they're billing Medicare, they're billing Medicaid, they're billing PIP, they're doing private pay. So there's so many different payers that they're billing. It's very hard for them to stay abreast of this PIP because it's constantly changing and it's very dynamic. Once we review that bill, we then determine if it's paid properly. If that bill is paid properly, we close the file. If it's not paid properly, we send a copy of the statutory demand letter. That demand letter is critical to the protection of your claim. That letter is like a mini complaint, and that letter has to go paper-based to the insurance company for every single claim that you want to collect on. And that's a condition precedent to getting paid. If you don't do this, or you do this wrong, you're not going to get paid. And moreover, a lot of the billing companies, or a lot of the counties, if they do this in-house, just don't have the expertise or that legal knowledge to do this. And again, keep in mind, this is so laborious to do because you have to do it on every single claim. Once we send out the demand letter, the insurance company then has 30 days again. They have a second bite at the apple to pay that bill properly. So we send out a demand letter for that claim. That claim is submitted to the insurance company. They then either send us a check back and pay it, or they send us what's called a demand response. Either one of those situations, we provide payment verification at this point. We review that explanation of benefits or that actual demand response. And if it's paid properly, we close the file and move on. And only, by the way, which is important and a big distinction for us, only the lawyers review these demand responses. Because if you were to review one, and I've showed them to many state senators or different people at the legislature, anyone who reviews these demand response letters, when you review those, it looks as though that claim is paid properly on its face. So you look at the letter, you read it, and you're like, oh my God, they're right. But once you look further into under the hood and understand how the CPT code should have been paid, this is where our expertise comes in. So if the bill is not paid properly, we're going to file a lawsuit to collect those overdue benefits, and we're going to litigate this case through final judgment. And really what's unique about us, and why I think there's a good fit for everyone on this forum, is we work for free to you. And the reason is because in Florida, there's a first party attorney fee statute. Florida statute 627.428 allows us, under what's called a first party claim, which this is, because you're through the assignment of benefits, which hopefully you recover when that ambulance rolls out, you're obtaining that assignment of benefits. That allows you to step in the shoes of the insured and process that claim and get paid properly. So again, one of the unique things about us is, since you don't have to ever write us a check or send us money, it allows you some flexibility with the RFP process to hire us and engage us to really only collect money for you on this small and narrow field, which we call the PIP revenue cycle. I mentioned that was the first part of the engagement, is we do that cleanup and the look back audit. But as important and similar to what I mentioned in the zero balance review, this is what we call our go forward proactive PIP risk management program. So as I mentioned in the beginning of the presentation, there's only $10,000 of this PIP insurance. Once that PIP insurance is exhausted, the insurance company has no more obligation or no more liability to pay anything. So just kind of think of a normal auto accident case. Normal auto accident, fender bender, EMS rolls out, EMS treats them treats them there, and then may transport them to the hospital. After they go to the hospital, that client, if they're injured, most likely is going to be seeing further medical providers. Those medical providers include, but not limited to, maybe a chiropractor, maybe an MRI, maybe an orthopedic, maybe a pain management, or maybe any other doctor that's allowable to bill under the PIP statute. So with that being said, again, there's only $10,000 of that benefit. It's a race to get paid, and it's also a race to protect that bill. This go forward risk management program allows you, through us, to protect that bill, to make sure the squeaky wheel gets the oil, and to make sure you're protecting that bill to get paid on time. There's no reason. You guys are the first one on the scene, and generally speaking, when we look at the PIP logs and we see this through the data, you're not generally the first to get paid. You may even not be getting paid because the chiro, the ortho, the neuro, these other medical providers or the hospital are generating their bills, getting their bills out, and they probably have a PIP lawyer protecting their bill. So just by that, there's a disadvantage to you guys. So we feel like we have a solution, and this is our solution for the counties to protect the bills. Day one, the patient's treated, or the ambulance goes out, and you generate a bill. That bill hopefully gets out by day 5 and is mailed to the insurance company by your billing company or your in-house billing office, your central billing office. From the date of the bill, the insurance company has 30 days from receipt of that bill to pay you. And they're pretty good about that. Sometimes they miss up, but generally speaking, the PIP carriers know they have 30 days to pay. So, which is great. It kind of keeps cash flowing for the county. So that bill is generated. It's dropped in State Farm's lap. Within 30 days, you should be getting a check and an explanation of benefits or an explanation of review back to your office. And once that check comes back and that EOB, this is again where we apply what we call our legal lens to audit those claims to make sure they're all paid properly. And if there's any overdue benefits that are not paid properly, we're then going to send that statutory demand letter. Again, that demand letter is generated by us. It has to go certified mail, return receipt registered, individual letters to a PIP adjuster somewhere in the state of Florida. That demand letter is mailed out, and then the insurance company has 30 days to review that demand letter and submit either a payment to pay the claim, or if it's not paid properly, we will then file a lawsuit to litigate that claim to make sure you're paid through final judgment. Very interesting fact is, once we send a demand letter to the insurance company, 90% of the demand responses, they pay on demand, meaning you bill it first, you get a check. Then once we come in, we send our demand letter out. And then upon them receiving our demand letter, lo and behold, they pay it properly now. And that happens 90% of the time. So out of every 100 demand letters we send, 90% will get paid on demand. And what does that mean for you, the county? Faster cash flow, and you're protecting that claim, making sure you're getting paid properly. And again, if the case is not paid properly or that claim is not paid properly, we're going to file that lawsuit at no cost to the county, and we're going to collect our attorney's fees and costs from the insurance company, making sure your bills are protected. You know, we've been doing this for over 25 years, so we're the experts at this, and we believe we can help you and your different counties protect your bills and collect a lot of these overdue or underpaid benefits. As you can see on my screen, the right side of the screen is an actual demand letter. It's a sample. There's no names on here, but this is what it really looks like. This demand letter, again, has to go certified mail, return receipt registered to the auto carrier. Additionally, what we've done for most of our clients when we're initially engaged is we review we call it their intake forms. You may call it something different, but the term we use is the intake forms. So when that EMS truck or fire truck rolls out and goes to the auto site on 95 or 75, wherever they may go, they have forms that are necessary that they have the client fill out on scene. We have learned through experience and through representing other cities and counties that some of those forms are improper. And the most important thing is when that EMS truck rolls out, you have to have what's called an assignment of benefits. That AOB needs to be in your documentation, and that AOB allows us to step into the shoes of you and process that claim. So that's also really important. And there's a couple other standard Florida disclosures, which we suggest that the clients, i.e. the counties, submit to the patients to sign at the location. Secondly is through this process, it's really simple for us, and working with your billing company, the Intermedics, which we work with all the time, we only need 3 pieces of information, and then we're off to the races. We need an AOB, which I mentioned is the critical component. We need an EOB, the explanation of benefits, and we need the auto information, whether it's Geico, whether it's Progressive, whether it's State Farm, whoever that may be. And then, as I mentioned, we believe the most important part to start off with is that 5-year look back, and we're going to do that zero balance review. And we're going to start sending demand letters on your behalf. And through this process, we're going to provide you guys a payment accuracy certification, making sure all those demand letter payments are paid properly. We want to be your partner of choice. That's the reason we're here to demonstrate this to you. We've been doing this for a long time. We have dedicated attorneys that only do personal injury protection revenue collections. Our firm has about 20 attorneys, and the attorneys employed in our PIP division only do PIP. So it's very important to identify that, because most firms, lawyers moonlight in different areas. For example, a lot of people out there, they do personal injury, or the lawyer that handles the PIP case, I should say, does personal injury and does PIP, may do criminal and some PIP, may do whatever it may be. But our lawyers and our paralegals and our support staff are only subject matter experts in this area of the law. And that allows us actually a huge advantage in processing and protecting your claims. So on behalf of myself and Glenn and my team, it's been an honor to present here to you, and I'd like to open it up for some questions now, if there's some questions out there.
We got one question here, Marty. You mentioned that many counties simply write off these unpaid claims, which might be because it's not worth the time and effort as a result of the claim amount. Is there a minimum amount that a demand letter will be sent? For example, an unpaid claim between 500 and 1,000 seems like it might not be worth the time.
You hit the nail on the head, whoever asked that question. So the reason why we filled the gap here is because most of these bills, let's call it, are between $200 and $500 shorted. And if you're a county, a medical provider, a doctor, who's going to go hire a lawyer for a $200 bill? It just becomes uneconomical. However, when you aggregate those claims, those $200 claims times thousands of claims a year add up. So no, there is no too small of a claim. We handle claims, all claims. We're agnostic to the size of the claim. And again, the biggest claim can only be 10,000, and the smallest maybe only 75 bucks, depending on the underpayment. But it doesn't matter in our perspective how small that claim is or how large that claim is, because aggregated over time, those claims will add up to millions and millions and millions of dollars. So we protect all the claims.
Thanks, Marty. Here's another one. Just for informational purposes, do you find that most of the unpaid claims are from out-of-network or in-network insurers?
So I'm going to answer this a little differently, because in the PIP world, everyone would be considered in-network. So the PIP carriers would be the State Farms, the Geicos, the Progressive. It's your auto insurance. So you're not billing health insurance for this. You're billing the auto carrier. And in Florida, under the Florida PIP statute, there's a fee schedule. It's kind of simple if they follow it. There's actually a fee schedule, which is followed by Medicare, or it's adopted from the Medicare fee schedule, and it's 200% of Medicare, which says based on this CPT code or this procedure code, the insurance company has to pay this. So there's a corresponding CPT code and a corresponding payment, which the carrier has to follow. For some reason, that doesn't happen all the time.
Thank you. How does recent legislative changes in the balance billing play into this process?
So the legislature is constantly changing, modifying, attacking the PIP statute. And so what that means is you constantly got to be abreast of what the laws and how those laws are interpreted throughout the different jurisdictions in Florida, and how those jurisdictions relate to the bill. Within the PIP statute, if they don't follow the billing correctly, that's where we come in and obviously collect those underpaid benefits. And technically, they're the medical providers. They have to bill the PIP, and if they don't get paid from PIP, they're not supposed to be balance billing.
Got it. All right, here's another one.
And let me answer that a little differently too. The PIP covers the 80%. The 20% is what the patient's responsible for.
Okay, there's also been major changes to the AOB law, some of it controversial. How do these changes help counties?
So what you're referring to, I think, is the AOB as it relates to property damage claims. So the AOB for the PIP statute has not changed. It's been the same. And the AOB is kind of a simple concept in this area, or this area of the law. And I'm going to relate it to going to your medical provider, your primary care physician, for a checkup. When you go to that doctor's office for a checkup, you sign an assignment of benefits. That allows that medical provider to bill Blue Cross, to bill Medicare, Medicaid. So I think what the person is asking is the AOB law, which with what we read about and know about, is relating to property damage claims where a contractor or a water mitigation company gets an AOB, assignment of benefits, and then bills the insurance company for a roof repair, a water mitigation repair. It's a lot different than what we're dealing with in the PIP world. So there is no effect on the PIP world. That change and those changes have to do with the property damage world.
Okay, here's another one. This may seem like an out there question, but what about air ambulances? Not sure if any county has one, but those costs would appear to be very high and disputed by the insurer.
So great question. We've handled a ton of those claims, usually based on just my recollection. Those bills range anywhere between $15,000 and $20,000 once the trauma hawk goes. And since there's only $10,000 in PIP, the PIP carrier is only liable for $10,000. So just for example, if the bill's 15, gets submitted to the PIP carrier, they're only responsible for the 10. However, what we've seen most of the times, those trauma hawk bills are billed by not generally the normal billing companies. They're billed by someone else, and they get their bills in very late sometimes. And then the other medical providers, such as the MRI guy, the hospital, and obviously if it's a trauma hawk, most likely the hospital, they get their bills out first and generate and have lawyers protecting their bills, and they're getting paid before anyone else.
Thanks, Marty. That's all the questions we have so far. Does anyone else have any questions? If you do, please enter them into the chat.
And while Nick is waiting for some questions, we've handled hundreds of thousands of claims over the years. So we've developed some big data information and some information as it relates to how these bills should be paid. And our portal allows you to actually log in and see those claims and those CPT codes on how they should be paid. And one of the other add-on benefits of our process, and I think this will relate to any of the counties, so resources are thin everywhere, whether you're paying a billing company or you're doing it in-house, you're paying for that service, right? And if your billing company is billing, again, many providers such as Blue Cross Blue Shield, Humana, Medicare, Medicaid, there's only a certain amount of resources. And again, those billing companies don't have the ability to collect because they may be able to file a demand letter, but they have no ability to actually enforce that demand letter. And the enforcement mechanism to keep everyone true and honest is the ability to file that lawsuit, which again, as I said, allows us to have a competitive advantage over most of these companies to protect your bills and make sure you're being paid properly.
Thank you, Marty. Here's another question. Will Medicare, Medicaid be reviewed as well?
No, not here. Again, we're just dealing with the PIP statute. We are very niche-based lawyers here. We're ultra focused on the PIP. As time grows, that may come on board, but right now we're just focusing on the PIP revenue cycle collections for PIP.
Thanks, Marty. Here's another one. Assuming those listening are as interested as we are, will you be able to handle a large increase in workload in a timely fashion?
Great question. Yes, we can. We represent a good amount of clients now, and we have the scalability through our technology and through our staff to grow very, very rapidly. So by creating this software, actually about 10 years ago, and it's kind of an interesting story, it was a very large hospital system on the west coast of Florida with about 15 hospitals. And we actually, at this point, did not have the software. We were in process of making it. They had that same question. And what we did was we rented an 85,000 square foot vacant Kmart in Venice, Florida. And we had tractor trailers of Iron Mountain boxes drop shipped at our location to scan and actually go through those HCFAs and EOBs. Through that process, we've developed the software, and the software works day and night, and we have sometimes had 3 shifts going in our office where our office would be running 24 hours a day. So we're pretty confident that we can scale and handle a lot of volume.
All right. Well, looks like we might have one more question. Nope, I think you've answered them all. All right. Well, if there are no further questions, I think that wraps up the webinar for today. I'd like to say thank you to JED Lawyers for a great presentation. Thank you for everyone for holding on through the technology issues. We appreciate you being here today. We will, as always, have this posted online. So if you want to see it again, or if you need contact information, the PowerPoint and the video will be posted to our website shortly. And if you have any questions, I urge you to get in touch with JED Lawyers.
Becky, if I may, Becky, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I always like to do this. I would like to provide my cell phone number.
Okay.
Anyone who wants to reach out privately. Again, my name is Marty Jed, and my cell phone number is 561-302-2518. Once again, 561-302-2518. And please reach out to us if you're interested to see our agreements, our engagement agreements, or just discuss further. If you have any private questions you want to talk about, I'm here to handle all those questions. And again, you can call the number and the emails on the screen, but that's my personal cell. Feel free to use it and reach out to me any given time you want to talk.
Fantastic. Thank you, Marty. So with that, we are going to conclude. I look forward to hopefully seeing everyone next week for our next Webinar Wednesday series. And for those of you in the path of the storm, please be safe. Appreciate it. You have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you, guys.
Look forward to hearing.
Bye. Bye.
Have a great day.